Well, hello and welcome to Prof. SG Web Classroom. In this tutorial, we shall try to have a general understanding of economics, its relevance in our day-to-day lives, and the various range of economic activities. By understanding why do we do what we do. So let's begin by understanding what is the ultimate quest for which everybody works in life. I know it's a very loosely kept question here, because people have different goals of life. Some want to achieve self-actualization, some work for self-esteem, some want position, power, wealth, and there could be a number of materialistic and non-materialistic goals. But for the time being, let's try to simply understand in general that the ultimate quest that every economic activity has can be termed here as satisfaction. So let's assume that people want to attain satisfaction. So the ultimate goal of all economic activities is satisfaction. Now, how do people attain satisfaction? Well, the route to satisfaction lies in satisfaction of human needs and wants. So let's assume that this satisfaction can only be achieved when one fulfills his needs and wants. So once the needs and wants are fulfilled, one is satisfied. Now, how do we fulfill these needs and wants? What do we really require to satisfy these needs, wants, and drives that we have? So it's obvious that to satisfy these needs and wants, which could be categorized as materialistic and non-materialistic needs, right from career to position to power to happiness to satisfaction, all these needs and wants are generally fulfilled through goods and services. So we can say that consumption of goods and services would lead to fulfillment of needs and wants, which would lead to satisfaction. Now, these goods and services that we need to fulfill the needs and wants can be attained through certain resources, and these resources in economics can be categorized in simple terms as let's say time, efforts, money, or wealth. So all these could be examples of different resources that one requires in order to buy these goods and services, and by fetching these goods and services one can fulfill his needs and wants, and this can ultimately lead to satisfaction. In economics, this entire range of activities, right from spending your resources or allocating your resources towards attainment of satisfaction, can be in general termed as an act of consumption. So we'll call it the act of consumption. So consumption is nothing but allocation of resources in order to buy goods and services, by consuming which one can satisfy his needs and wants. Now, there are certain challenges which are associated with this. Now, the first challenge is that with the latest with the innovations, with technology, with enhancements, with information communication technology, research and development, the range of needs and wants and the associated goods and services that are available has been ever increasing. So we can say that these needs and wants today are becoming unlimited or infinite. So we have infinite needs and wants. We are here not talking about people who are self-actualized or who've attained complete satisfaction and are not interested in material goals, but we are in general talking about people who are a part of society and have materialistic desires and aspirations to make their lives better off. So the needs and wants would be unlimited in nature, while the resources that we all have are in general limited or scarce. They are limited or scarce. Now, do we really have limited or scarce resources? Which is true, but is it true in every case? Let's say the richest man in the world, who can buy almost anything, may still not be in a position to buy everything. So this means that if he has wealth, he may not have a long life left with him, or he may be able to buy good health by paying for his medical treatments, but then he would still fall short of all the possible resources available to him to buy everything that he wishes to in life. So scarcity would exist in some form or the other in case of everyone. It's just that these resources may vary from person to person. So now the entire range of inquiry lies between what satisfies us, and at the same time what do we have in order to satisfy our needs and wants, and how do we bridge the gap between our unlimited wants and limited resources. And that's why economics, to a great extent, is considered to be a decision science dealing with rationality and aimed at optimum allocation and utilization of resources to attain maximum satisfaction. Now, because of this unlimited needs and limited resources, there could arise a lot of decision making problems. Like there could be a problem of prioritization of wants. Another could be problem of choice, that you may have to choose what to buy and what to postpone. So there might be postponement of needs and wants as well. And then there could be comparisons between the utility between different products that you have, and this could lead to trade-offs. And so trade-offs, opportunity cost analysis or cost benefit analysis, and various other sort of economic decision making principles might be a part of the subject, which we'll explore subsequently in the next set of videos. So these are the problems related to optimum allocation of resources. So we may say that this leads to the problem of optimum allocation or utilization of resources. So this is one side of the economic activities called consumption. Now there can be the other side to it. And what's that other side? That these resources that we have are, as we discussed, limited, while the needs and wants are unlimited. Now if we utilize our resources, though we use them wisely, if we continue to utilize these resources to buy goods and services that satisfy our needs and wants, these resources might keep getting exhausted. And on the other hand, certainly there would be an enhancement in satisfaction. But a day may come when we completely exhaust all our available resources, and we may not be left with enough to further take care of our needs and wants. And so in order to generate more resources, or in order to have resources by which we can buy things which we may not be able to buy today, we shall try to have sustainability attached to our lives, and we shall look for a longevity in our lives. And so this requires generation of more resources. Now how do we create or generate these resources? And that's the other side of economic activities. So people rationally try to not only allocate their resources for consumption, but also allocate them in a manner by which these resources can be further generated. And few of the economic activities which can help generate further resources could be allocation of these resources into activities like production. So production could be one activity where we not only we invest our resources in order to create goods and services. So we produce goods and services. So this could be an activity of production, or we could invest our resources as factors of production, like we could invest in, as a teacher might take classes or might spend his time going to a university taking sessions and get paid for it. So one may earn salary, wages, interest or rent on land, labor, capital and all of the services that one may be able to give in order to facilitate the act of production. So you could be an entrepreneur producing goods and services. So you could be a producer on one hand, and on the other hand you could be a factor of production, giving away your land on rent, or labor services for wages and salary, and capital against interest, and any other contribution as a specialized labor or a manager. So this is the act of production, and this is the act of production which helps in creating goods and services, and by selling which to the market one may able to earn some profits, and when these profits come back, they may come as profits, or we may call them return on investment. Now, the similar activity of production can also be seen when people invest their money into the stock exchanges, or they save their money in the bank to get certain return on their interest. So we may consider investment also as an economic activity which would lead to investment of our resources and return on the investments over a period of time. So this is how each individual needs to perform different roles of a consumer on one hand and a producer or a factor of production on the other hand, or sometimes as an investor. The act of connecting these consumers to the producers, which we call as the activity of distribution, can also be one of the activities by which people earn money or generate further resources. So we may also consider another activity as a link between consumption and production, and we may call these activities as the act of distribution. So now there's a very interesting connect we find here, that if we look at people producing goods and services, they may be earning profits. If they are giving their factor services like land, labor and capital, they may be earning rents, wages, salaries and interests in exchange of these, which may also act as a return or an investment or a compensation by which one can create further resources. And so with these further generated resources, one can continue to buy goods and services and consume for the rest of their lives to attain greater satisfaction for themselves and their family members. So finally, to connect the dots, now these goods and services that people produce are produced keeping in mind the needs and wants of consumers in the economy. So you need people to buy these goods and services, and on the other hand, when you look at the goods and services that one consumes, these goods and services would come from different sections or different people in the society who've been producing those goods and services. So the goods and services that one produces might require customers in form of the society and the market, and the same society and the market and the economy would be supplying goods and services for one's consumption. And so this connect between the goods and services required for consumption and the goods and services which are produced by an individual would actually be connected through the entity in the economy, which can be termed as, it could be considered as market. This is the market, or this could be termed as an economy, or in other words, the society. So this is how an individual at a micro level connects to the remaining society, market or the economy when he looks for customers to buy his goods and services, and on the other hand when he looks for producers and sellers to sell goods and services that one wants to satisfy his needs and wants. So we also see that there's a very interesting association between the economic activities, like it's the consumption that necessitates the production, and the production that facilitates the consumption. And ultimately every individual needs to optimally not only allocate his resources for the act of consumption, but also optimally allocate and utilize his resources for the activity of production or investment, so that he or she may be able to generate positive returns or on his investment, and further be able to generate these resources. And this requires an understanding of the process of decision making and optimum utilization of resources, which we shall subsequently be discussing in the next range of tutorials. And so this is how in general the economic activities of consumption, production, distribution, investment exist, and how are they so relevant to an individual can be seen through this introductory video. Thank you.